Is it important to talk about being an HSP with ADD
as a parent?
And how that impacts the child? And is the child that way? Not that way. Does he or she have that, or they have the trait?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think we call out that's sort of like ADD. It's something we sort of holler out in our house. And I think,
is it ADD or is it the HSP trait that then gets masqueraded?
It's just overstimulated, highly sensitive.
Overstimulated.
People. In fact, they took away ADD. It's no longer a diagnosis, so we can use it more as lay language.
They took it away as a diagnosis?
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Where?
In the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Psychological Disorders.
When,
now,
like recently?
It's just part of ADHD.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I can't tell you historically when it happened, but it's been a number of years.
So ADHD is in the DSM?
Yes. Attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder is in the DSM. And then it has different types. And so you can be diagnosed ADHD inattentive type.
Okay.
But what I like about it is now we can say ADD as just kind of cultural language,
Right. This is part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't come up with a word for it. So for sure, we would all meet those criteria if we're living in an overwhelming life. And guess what? Parenting is always overwhelming.
Yeah, that's my phone.
Yeah, the phone, the screens. I mean, life is overwhelming. I can't get unoverwhelmed. And I work really hard at it. And I'm 58. Like, you'd think I'd learn by now. But another thing I said to my therapist this week, like, holy cannoli, I'm 58. I'm still having to work through grief about my childhood and the things that didn't happen for me then. And I've been doing it in therapy for 30 years. Enough is enough. I've been in therapy for 40 years, just not constant. And it's just so frustrating to continue, but it's life. Like, I'm not living in a monastery. I think I could be much, much more serene and optimal level of arousal if I lived in my shaman's hut or if I was in a monastery. It's like the world was just laid out for me and I didn't really have to do anything but work on my inner life, which I love to do.
Right.
But what highly sensitive parent is experiencing life that way?
Right.
Nobody.